Yeah, no, I don't want to cheat. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, January 18th, 2023, board meeting. So with that, please join me in opening exercises, a pledge to the flag, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Sure. John Cassiano. Willard Delaker.
Here.
Joseph Fatzinger.
Present.
Todd Hernandez.
Here.
Becky Height. Here. Lauren Hunsiker. Here. Todd Leiser.
Here.
Rachel Shepler. Here. Jennifer Cenovitis. Here.
Okay. Have a quorum. All right, 1.04, approval of the agenda. So I'm looking for a motion. So moved. Second. All right, Mr. Patzinger, Mr. Delaker. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, ayes have it. Okay, this moment, I'd like to welcome everybody that's here. Thank you for coming. And at this moment, I'd like to have courtesy of the floor. So if there's anyone who would like to address the board, this would be the time. Please just state your name and the township you're from.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Coons Jr. I'm the fire chief at Nutripoli Fire Company, and I'm from Lynn Township. Thank you for having me at your meeting. I will be brief. When I'm finished, I will excuse myself. I thought it was very important to come here tonight in person on behalf of the Community Fire Company in Nutripoli to express a sincere thank you to everyone for all of the help and support we received after our tragic loss on December 7th, 2022. The administrators and staff here at Northwestern Lehigh School District were all very helpful and very good to work with. Many groups all came together to make the memorial service a first-class send-off for our fallen brothers. And I don't want to miss anybody, but just to mention some of you, Chief Tobin, Art Oaks, Jennifer Hallman, Jason Zimmerman, you guys were incredible. Again, thank you for allowing us to utilize the school district facilities with very short notice. During this event, our community came together, I feel like never before. We can be grateful for where we live and the respect our neighbors have for one another. Moving forward, we all need to learn from this and ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. An immediate lesson I learned as fire chief is that it can happen to any department, big, small, highly trained and disciplined, it doesn't matter. Tragedy can strike. I can tell you that our department is continuing the healing process, but I want you all to know that we have picked up the pieces and I feel we are stronger now than we've ever been before. Again, I just want to say a very sincere thank you for everything, everyone.
Yeah, on you with that. Thank you. Certainly it was Gary reached out last night and they had a chiefs meeting, I think, and asked, could he come and say a few words? And so certainly, on behalf of the district and the board, it's just a small part we can play in the closure of that day. So, thank you for working with us so collaboratively and so closely. It went as smoothly as possible and hopefully the closure process for the families and the department has begun. So thank you. If anybody else has anything, certainly, I do believe they will leave. So if you have something you'd like to share with them, now would be time.
Yeah, I would just like to also add that, I'm pretty sure I speak for some of us, and feel free to jump in, that we appreciate all of you and all of the volunteer firefighters in our community. As residents and members of the district, we do value, all of you. And I'm appreciative of that we have a district who was able to help out and do the small part that we were able to do. And I'd like to thank all the staff and the members that assisted with that day as well. So we feel for you and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I would add, just if there's anything that you need or the families need, feel free to either, contact us directly or contact through Jen.
Appreciate that.
Either personally, we can, we can offer assistance or, discuss it as a board. So let us know, please.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Would anybody else at the moment like to address the board today? There'll be another opportunity at the end as well. We'll offer courtesy of the floor. If you want to share at that moment as well. Okay. 1.07 minutes. So we have reorg minutes, last board meeting from December and the workshop meeting from 2 weeks ago. Looking for a motion in a second.
Second.
Mr. Patsinger and Mr. Weiser. Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Okay. Recognitions and presentations. Looks like we have school director recognition.
Certainly. So we do this every January. We have the good fortune to be able to honor all of you. And so I'd like to read a little statement. You have some goodies that I would like to describe that are all at your seats. And so in the month of January, we have the honor to be able to recognize all of our school directors and the immense amount of time that they put into the work that they do around this table. And so in recognition of the commitment and the time that our school directors, and they are all volunteers, so this is all volunteer service, January is designated as School Director Recognition Month. During the work, these public officials, it is vital to the success of our students and our schools. They devote many, many hours, not just what you see around the board table, researching and finding information about trying to approve the agenda items that we ask them each month, whether it be board business, voting on budgets, adopting policy, conducting comprehensive planning approvals. You make key decisions that drive our good quality, rigorous public education that we are able to offer here at Northwestern. They are board members, are board servants, as well as volunteers. They are fellow neighbors, local leaders, co-workers, parents, and friends. Excuse me. So this month is set aside to recognize you as directors for the time that you have and your dedication, your appreciation, as well as the encouragement for these public officials and the public to be able to remain a pathway for an opportunity for each and every one of our students. So on behalf of the Northwestern Lehigh School District, I would like to thank and congratulate Mr. Cassiano, Mr. Delger, Mr. Fatzinger, Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Height, Dr. Hunsaker, Mr. Leiser, Mrs. Scheffler, and Mrs. Stenovitis for their time and dedication that they work to strengthen the public education in our community. And so some of the things that you have at your seat from our schools and from our kiddos, there's a PSBA certificate for each of you. There's also a Padfolio that is in Northwestern Lehigh. You'll have to mark them because Todd pointed out they're all the same. So you have to make sure you stick your business cards or something in the front there so we know who is whose. Thank you cards from some of our students you will see there, as well as the 2023 calendar, which if you have not had an opportunity to take a look at, features students from all of our buildings and some of the accomplishments our kids have had over the last year as recognition for your board service and hopefully something that you can put on your desk to remember our kids and why we do this every day throughout 2023. And so on behalf of our team, our administrative team and our faculty and staff, thank you. And I hope you have a good January Board Appreciation Month. Thank you. You're very welcome. They're very nice and they have lots of nice memories. So the team, I cannot take credit for that. The team did a great job picking out all of the photographs and putting them in the right months that you might have reminisced about them when they come up a year from now. So hopefully you'll keep that as a good remembrance on your desk. That features all of our kids K through 12.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on. 1.09 is the board's report. I do not have anything for today, so.
I guess that leaves it to me. So I do have a few things. Had Mr. Koontz not come to the meeting tonight, I did want to mention, since we've met as I had the opportunity to do a superintendent's report. Obviously, we had the proud opportunity to be the site for the fallen firefighters memorial on December 17th. He expressed it much more eloquently than I could. We are proud to play some small part. He mentioned some other folks, but there was an immense amount of planning in a very short period of time. There's not really something that you can pull off the shelf for how to do what they all did that day. And we hope it's something that they write down, but that they never use ever again. So we are also on the education front. We had holiday concerts since I met with you last, and holiday programs that ended up the end of last year, and we've started off 2023 strong, working really hard. There's 2 new laws. Our administrative team is working really hard to understand changes to school code in chapter 49, as well as a volume of Act 55 changes that at some point throughout the spring will come to you in various forms. If mandate relief was what we were trying to do, I think we're kind of going in the opposite direction, because there are lots of new things that are going to be coming at our administrators and our educators in the coming years. And so we have some time in the spring to be able to work through that. Some of them will be implemented as early as next year, some in 24, 25. We are also preparing your school calendar, which you will see hopefully coming up in February and March, and our admin team as well as working on that with LCTI. We try to make a common calendar as close as we can for our LCTI students to maximize. I would also like to mention, coming up shortly, as part of some of our planning, we are going to contract with the I Love You Guys Foundation for a reunification planning, and Chief Tobin and Dr. Snovic are planning that for some planning and professional development that you will see coming to you in the future that will work to enhance our reunification plans in the event of an emergency, reunifying with our parents with our children should an emergency happen. And so just strengthen the already really good plans that we have in place. You will see us finishing up our comp plan that our teams in our buildings are working really hard to finish up. We did get some notifications last night because they are working on some of the changes about Act 55 and school code changes to incorporate those into our comp plan. So you will see that at an upcoming meeting for your approval. Christy and I continue to participate, and I think I mentioned this one time before, in a budget series program. We gather ideas from other districts about how to budget. We look at some of the things we've done and some things they steal from us. And, even things as simple as our ESSER reporting dollars and how we're going to do the reports for those. So that's something Christy and I are also participating in. Art might mention this during the meeting, so I won't go into it too much. But we did have a pre-bid meeting this week for the middle school project, which means that the contractors that wanted some more information about the project that will happen at the middle school did join here this week to learn more about the project. And remember, those bids will also be coming in February, March timeframe. So you'll actually get to see some prices. Budget presentations. I have budget presentations per your request scheduled. And so these will appear on an agenda. You don't need to write these down, but just for the public's view, you asked for Gorman to come. So Gorman will be here at the February 1st meeting. CLIU will be here on March 1st. L-Tri-C will be here on March 15th, and LCTI will be here on March 15th. I've given all of them instructions that they should be prepared to talk about any increases. There are some significant increases in some of those budgets. And so I've explained to either the executive director or the president or the business administrator who is planning to come, they should be prepared to talk about the increases that they have built into the budgets, as well as any significant changes that might be of your interest. And certainly as they present, if you have additional questions, feel free to ask those, but that's when they are scheduled. I don't have anything else, unless anybody has any questions.
Anyone? Nope.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move forward. Curriculum and building issues. So we have a safe schools report. Oh, personnel. Look, I was already on that one. Sorry.
You were done?
Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. There are 3 pages, 29 items tonight for your approval. I would like to call your attention to the recommendation to approve our new high school music and dance teacher, Ethan Bico, and he's with us tonight, and I will ask Mrs. Yadish to introduce him.
Thank you. I am very happy to welcome Ethan Bico to the high school as our new band and music teacher. Ethan joins us from the Allentown School District, where he's been working at the Robb and South Mountain Middle Schools, teaching music classes, working with their choir, and even got talked into directing the musical at the middle school, a new venture, voluntold to do the musical. Ethan comes to us with extensive experience working with local marching bands, including at his 2 alma maters, Quakertown High School and Moravian University now, college at the time. Worked with North Penn marching band as well, I believe. So he has already visited our school and worked with our outgoing music director, and I think met some of our, no, did not meet kids. We were on an off day, not had that opportunity yet. But he is planning to work with our district and county band and chorus members coming up in the next couple of weeks. So we're very happy to have him here, Ethan. Welcome. And it was lovely of you to bring your mom with you this week. So welcome to Northwestern, both of you.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so thankful for this opportunity to be here. I'm so excited. If it was up to me, I'd be here tomorrow starting and, working with the kids and just getting the groundwork laid out and moving forward as I hope to see this program grow and become the best band and or the best music program in Pennsylvania. So great meeting you all.
Thank you for coming.
Can I ask for your approval on these items this evening?
All right, so looking for a motion.
Motion.
Yeah, Mr. Shepherd.
Got it.
Okay, once again. All right, any comments or questions? All those in favor, aye?
I,
Opposed, no? All right, ayes have it. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining our team. We look forward to you being here then. Thank you.
bring an instrument next time.
I thought about it. I thought,
That's what he plays. What was his favorite?
Trombone.
What is that Trump?
I love brass. I'm a trumpet guy myself.
It's close. I was in the right category.
I wanted to play trombone. That was my first choice. Back in fourth
I
grade.
played the sax.
did you? All right, so now curriculum and building issues. Safe schools. Chief today?
Chief Tobin and Dr. Stoneman, I think, are gonna handle the safe schools report.
You have before you the safe school report. Obviously, we are required to report misconduct and different crimes that occur within the district. You can see it in front of you. It's pretty lengthy and pretty detailed. I think the biggest thing to pull away from that you don't see is in comparison to other years, especially pre-COVID, we are in line with what was going on prior to COVID. We have no real spikes or real concerns that I see from prior years to this year. I think overall, this reflects our district accurately that we, as every district has problems, but compared to most, we are well above the standard. And things are going well. Things are being handled. And overall, we are fortunate to have a very good student population, as well as an excellent building administrators who foresee problems, address them before they rise to the level where they become real issues. I think this report reflects that.
It's not something the board needs to approve, but accept, but certainly if you have any questions, we can take them.
Any questions? No. Okay, thank you. That takes us to policy. So let's see. Looks like all the items 4.01 through 4.04 were all covered in the workshop. So if we could take them as a consent agenda, that would entertain that motion. Or do we get a motion first and then do we
Motion second.
motion second? And then we'll,
Conversations.
okay, so why don't we go that? So can I get a motion for 4.01 principles of governance of leadership, 4.02 first reading of the policies that are listed there. 4.03 second reading, which there is none. And then 4.04, which is rescind policies, and there are none.
Motion to approve 4.01 to 4.04.
Second. And Mr. Betsy. All right, so comments or questions? Is there?
I just would like to highlight two changes that has occurred since our last meeting. So per the board's request, I looked into two specific items, one in policy 130 homework, where per the recommendation of the board, we changed the word broadening to deepening. More specifically, the one I looked into was policy 142 migrant students. The language, the district shall provide materials to the parents and guardians regarding their role in improving the academic achievement of their child. I contacted PSBA regarding the origin of that language, since I couldn't find it specifically in school code. They came back to me stating that it is leftover language that is still relevant, but really born out of No Child Left Behind. As you know, No Child Left Behind was the law of the land when it comes to education, which is no longer the law of the land. ESSA is, and which took that over in 2015. So with that said, our recommendation is to remove that language due to it being previously based on NCLB language. I did look at other school districts and it was kind of across the board, whether they had it in there or not. I took a look at about 6 local school districts, and so I felt comfortable with this recommendation before you tonight.
Okay, and this item was actually only the first reading, so it really doesn't require board action. And I know we talked about it at length at the last meeting, so there'll be another opportunity to discuss this further or make changes if we so desire.
4.01.
Yeah, 4.01 does require. So with that in mind, are there any comments or questions or follow-up on those personnel items, or sorry, policy items? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, nice to have it. Okay, we move into operations, 5.01, Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection. And this is an item we did discuss at the workshop meeting. So I'll entertain a motion in a second and then ask for any comments or questions. So,
Move to approve the fire protection 3-year agreement.
Gallagher, second,
Second.
Mrs. Shepherd. Any comments or questions, or is there any additional follow-up? Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Thank you. 5.02, approve 3-year contract with First Consulting.
This is a contract through some transitions in the transportation office. We're looking to consult sort of a restructuring in our office and use First Consultant Group, which is a division of First Transport. To do some of our routing for us. They will do 100% of the routing, whether it's in district or out of district. And we would be using funds that already exist and not increasing the budget with this contract due to some restructuring.
Okay, are we looking to take action on this?
And this was vetted by attorney.
Okay, well, let's get a motion in a second. And then we'll open up. So I get a motion,
So moved.
Mrs. Sanovitis, second,
Second.
Mr. Bellicker. Are there any comments or questions related to this? By anybody?
Art, is this the one that you were going to be checking into? If we could get any kind of negotiation in place with the fact that we have our routing system in place currently till a certain date, and then this one would start at a certain date, like Mr. Lizer had suggested.
did.
They work with us at all?
They worked with us a little bit, not to the extent that Mr. Lizer referenced when I had the conversation with him, but they didn't extend it, but basically the way that the ground, it kicks off running, it's almost like a pseudo extra month period for this transition. They expect about 4 weeks or so till they're ready to go, and then we'll go forward from there. So it's a little bit, somewhere in the middle.
Anyone else? Okay, we do have a motion second, so all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, motion approved, thank you. Okay, district finance at 6.01, River Rock Academy approval.
That one. So this is an approval for an agreement. You would typically have approved agreement for us when we needed a student placement, and this is one of those agreements. The agreements are attached. However, they came in late this afternoon and Jessica Moyer is in the process of looking at them. And so I'm asking for your approval pending final solicitor approval of the language in the agreements. I do believe there are some things they will recommend changing as a result of them. But if you could approve it so that we have a placement option for students, we would appreciate it, and pending authorization by the school clerk.
Okay, looking for a motion in a second.
Motion.
Mrs. Scheffler and Mrs. Height. Okay, any comments or questions for this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, motion carries, thank you. Okay, let's see, 6.02, 6.03, 6.04, 5, 6, and 7 were all items that were discussed and reviewed at the workshop meeting. So if the board would so indulge, I ask if we could do that in a consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Delegate,
602 through 607.
second?
Second.
Second, Dr. Hunsinger. Okay, so 6.02 is the Act 1 resolution. 6.03 is the tax collection committee delegate. 6.04 Iron Pigs agreement. 6.05 the community education classes. 6.06 is the clinical affiliation agreement with Wilkes University on behalf of its Hassan School of Nursing. And 6.07 is the Sweets, Stevens, Katz, and Williams agreement. Are there any comments or questions regarding any of these items tonight? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, motion's carried for all of those. That brings us to 6.08 Tiger Concession Fund transfer to the general fund.
Yes, so a month ago, you originally approved the Blitz machine out of Tiger Concession. And once Jason got it, he realized he needed a set of cords. So that's what this is going to be towards for that machine. So it's $100. So we're just asking the approval for it to be transferred out of Tiger Concession back to general.
Motion approved 6.08.
Second. Did you get that?
Yep.
Any comments or questions on that matter? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, thank you. That takes us to 6.09, the reports. And I know we discussed this at the workshop meeting, so at the moment, I'll take a motion in a second. And then open up for comments.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Fatsinger
Second.
and then Mrs. Shepard. Are there any comments or questions related to the bills tonight? Anything more? Anything, nothing's changed? Okay. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Nice have it, thank you. 6.10, the bills. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Hunsinger, second.
Second.
Site. Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we have one abstention. Thank you. Okay, other report 7.01, the enrollment report.
I will certainly take that one. I would just like to point out sort of a question that had come up in the past in terms of numbers that we might have misspoken in a previous meeting. So when we talked about the cyber charter numbers, this is probably the easiest place that you're able to see the decrease in cyber charter numbers when we talked about having some overage in the budget that we will have to shore up. And so if you look down in the cyber charter numbers on the bottom, you'll see the actual numbers that are enrolled at the time. And so I think when we were originally talking about a variance a few months ago, we said 124 to 111, and I think the numbers didn't quite match up. If you look, it's 139, we had 139 students in June 2021. which then at the beginning of September, the following year dropped to 111, which is where you couldn't have anticipated when you passed the budget that the students were going to decrease that much. And they have decreased even further from that point. So then come this September 2022, it was 101. And if you look up at the top, you'll see we're currently at 98. So there's still some change in a positive fashion, positive changes that we've made in cyber charter, even since the most recent budget approval that we will have to make in the upcoming. So you'll still have a variance in the next budget. But I just wanted to clear up the numbers because we used a lot of numbers when we talked about that $700,000 variance. And just for the record, wanted to make sure we were very clear about the cyber charter numbers, the timing, and why that variance existed. And certainly if there's any other questions about the enrollment report, I will take them.
Anyone?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, that takes us 7.02 foundation report.
Yes, good evening. I just have two items from the foundation tonight. The first is that there will be a tiger takeover at Ridgeview Farm Vineyards and Brewing Company on Friday, February 10th, which a portion of proceeds that are purchased there will be donated to the foundation. So we hope you can join us for that. And lastly, Saturday, February 25th at the middle school gymnasium, we are holding a family-friendly cornhole tournament. Registration is currently open on nwlef.org.
Thank you. 7.03 committee reports. The IU.
I have nothing to report. The next meeting is next Wednesday. We haven't met since the holiday. Or not.
Thank you. LCTI.
Nothing to report. Next meeting is next Wednesday.
LTRI-C. Anything from them? I know that's
The president's desk is attached for LTRI-C, and Dr. Kistler, your representative, will be the one, along with Dr. Bieber, and their business administrator, who will do the budget presentation at the date that I mentioned, and is also on your board agenda. But if you have any questions, the president's desk for January is attached to your board agenda.
and that takes me to Rec Commission, which is me, and we did not have a meeting last month. We have our first meeting of the year next week. Old business. Does anybody have any old business today?
Didn't know when to ask this, but you mentioned having the bid conference last week.
Yes.
Did you get a feel for how many contractors are interested and if they were quality?
Yeah, it's a little different scenario this time with Woods as our construction manager, because there's so many primes. But it was a really good turnout. We have about 26 companies right now that have picked up big bid packages. So if you spread that out, there's about 6 for the general, 6 for electrical. There's only 4 for demo, 4 for interior work. So it's quite a few, but it's a little differently. Previously, we would do a general and electrical, plumbing as a prime, whereas now they're broken out into multiple primes. So a pretty good turnout. The boardroom was full. Everybody walked around. There was probably 20 contractors there. Yeah.
Because everybody's talking about can't get workers, can't get people.
Yeah. No,
Some
they
people
seem
aren't
very.
getting out there, So.
Yeah, I think the auditorium timeline is beneficial, which is what's helping, because it's not just in the summer, it goes all the way through until January, so
Good,
I
thank
think
you.
it's beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, when I walked in, I asked if it was a mandatory pre-bid because there were so many people here. And it might have something to do with how Blitz breaks it up into multiple primes. There were a good number of people here.
Any good questions?
Yeah, they had a few, they walked around for a couple hours too, so
Good,
they were looking at a lot of things.
it's encouraging.
Yeah, hopefully that's a good sign. More good news to come. Anybody else? Full business? Okay, new business. We have a donation. I know we discussed this at the workshop meeting, so this will be the opportunity where we'll take action on it. The cameras, right, and equipment. Okay, so looking for a motion to accept the donation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Say. Any comments or questions on the donation tonight? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Thank you. All right, we're rolling along tonight.
Will you please stop?
Well, we're at the courtesy of the floor and we have somebody joined us a little bit later, but this is the second opportunity. We'll extend courtesy of the floor.
Before you move into that,
Sure.
I have a ask of new business.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Sorry.
I should have jumped in when Jennifer gave her superintendent's report, but the new change to the school code that I think is in Act 49.
Act 55 is the changes and Act Chapter 49 are the changes to the code. So there's two pieces I talked
Okay.
about.
Well, this was. We had some notice of this in PSBA that this was coming.
Yeah, the chapter changes came out in April 2022. I believe.
And what it looks like is some of the asking us or mandating us to put in our curriculum some of the social, cultural issues of the day. I would just like to see more discussion about that in the future, maybe at a workshop, about what they're really mandating us to do in these areas and then how we would go about communicating this to parents and the process of getting it into the curriculum, because we do have our curriculum process that we use every time we want to change it, and it's a year or 2 year process to get something approved and put into the curriculum. So this is something new, and I don't want to get up in arms about it or too concerned about it, but these are some significant issues that we are being asked to put into our curriculum for the kids and into our professional development for the teaching staff. So,
Yeah, and I think our team will be better prepared when we get some guidance. And so I have to say that of all of the changes with Chapter 49 and all of the changes with Act 55, even those that are supposed to be implemented as early as this year or next year, some of which have significant ramifications to a variety of different areas. We have very little guidance on how you're supposed to do that. So I kind of said, Act 55 appears to be a whole host of things that they want us to do that have no rhyme or reason with one another, but there are literally pages and pages of things that we have to come up with professional development plans. It's one of the reasons I mentioned about that they're now trying to incorporate those into the strategic comprehensive plan. And they're adding things to the comprehensive plan that we have to respond to how we're going to be compliant. In our case, because we are the fortunate ones to be a phase 1 district, some cases 2 years well before they actually go into place. And so some of the things I mention them so you might start to hear about them, but some of them we don't have good guidance for. So like the Chapter 49 changes, I think the ones that Bill is referencing is we do have some of the standards that we will have to begin professional development for next year and begin implementation for the following year. And they're really in 4 different areas. One is teacher induction. One is professional ethics. One is what they're calling structured literacy. And the structured literacy standards or framework is for very specific people with specific certifications. That doesn't mean people who are using that certification, but one who maintains that certification will have to receive additional professional development in structured literacy. And the last is a framework for culturally responsive and sustaining practices that have all of them have, which were released April 2022. And all we really have at this point is what the framework looks like and the dates which they expect things to be in for professional development and when they expect them to be incorporated in practices. They also have other sets of deadlines for how college students who are currently in teacher education programs are going to get up to speed on all of these things and how we're supposed to incorporate them into our induction plan for new teachers that we then hire. Act 55 changes are coming, I'll say, before these in most cases, and could change some of the things, even things that we previously approved. So some of the changes particular to dual enrollment or credit bearing courses at the high school could impact, like our program of studies that you approved. Because we don't have any guidance for how that's supposed to happen, or how it's supposed to roll out, or some of the, implications of those. So yes, we will. I hesitate to, interpret them myself and for fear of interpreting them incorrectly, and then we come present and you think we're doing this, and then we have to come present and say, just kidding, we got new guidance that says this, because literally we are in Lehigh County, we're the only phase 1 district, so we will be the first, at least in Lehigh County, to go through how are we going to implement all of these things. And how we have to respond to various prompts in the comp plan about how we're going to get all of this done, professional development wise and implementation wise. And there's a lot with a capital ALOT of work to have happen.
Well, yeah, I'm really concerned about this coming in the way it was dropped on us as new mandates, and you know, the question, what do we give up? What are we gonna eliminate to make room for these new things that we have to put into our kids' days, instruction days, and maybe it's something that we ought to, when we have the legislators come in, you know, they're the ones that are doing this. Make sure that they understand what they're doing to us when they come out with these new mandates for curriculum. When we have a curriculum so loaded up already that you know, there's no room in the day to have fun with the kids anymore, and here we're adding more. That's just a concern I'd like to discuss as a board as we go on, move into this thing, so it doesn't drop on us. And the other thing is too, to keep the public informed about what this is and what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good conversation to have with the legislative folks, because we heard that there was going to be a reduction in some mandates, and certainly everything we've gotten that we've talked about is going in not that direction. Every year everything gets added, nothing ever gets taken away. And so the same complication you're talking about, a student's day, we have with faculty days and trying to fit all the professional development and things that are on a cycle, all very good things. And not any legislator wants to stand up and say, okay, I want to get rid of that. That's what they don't want to do, but it becomes a task that you don't have enough time to be able to professionally develop people in all of the different areas to a level where you now are expecting them to be competent in all of these areas. And not enough time in the student day to get done what we need to get done. So we had hoped, or had high hopes, that there would be mandate relief or at least consideration. Certainly the school code changes with Act 55 that got passed with the budget that we heard about in July, as well as these that came out in April 2022 are not going in the direction of any relief of any mandates. But yes, we will bring them to you, because they'll either be, I don't want to say curricular changes so much, but some of them are handbook changes or policy changes, or, you know, some of them are certificate changes, induction plan changes, which obviously affect every new teacher that comes in. And a lot of it, the compliance piece, I will say, or how we're responsible to respond to them, is appearing now in the comprehensive plan. Like, how are you going to implement this? And that appears to be the checks and balances for some of how are you implementing your induction plan and changing it from a 1-year plan to a 2-year plan. You know, we have budgets and finances already built for a 1-year mentorship for new teachers, not for a 2-year plan. And so now it's a mandated 2-year plan. And so what that looks like and how you spread topics across people to appropriately support new teachers coming in, financing, you know, mentors and designing that plan in a way that it does what it's supposed to legally do, but also does what it's supposed to do to support new teachers coming in, which is the intent and purpose. But yes, they will come back. I can't say it's all curriculum things. Certainly it's various different places where it'll appear depending on the host audience and the time range. I mean, some of them are far out. So some of the things that are chapter 49 won't be implemented until 24, 25, or not supposed to be implemented, but some of them are early as this year or next year.
Thank you.
Various dates, but thank you. Yes, we have to figure out a way to bring it back in what the appropriate venue is.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah, it's just.
Right. Thank you. All right, I'll stay on new business. Is there any other new business? Sorry, I moved on a little quickly there. Okay, so we'll move on to communications, courtesy of the board, second opportunity, so. Either of you want to just the board? All right, well, thanks for joining us. Okay, communications. Secretary.
John said there's none.
John is on.
He's on Zoom now.
But he would know if there's anything there, so John.
There is none tonight.
Is on.
All right, thank you, John. Okay, administrative and building sharing. I'll pass that over to you.
Thank you. We'll start with online, and tonight we'll start with Mrs. Edmonds.
Good evening, everyone. I do have something to share tonight. PDE notified us in July that our gifted program would be audited. Since July, the district was required to provide several pieces of data and evidence for PDE to review with regard to our gifted programming. In addition, PDE also requires an on-site visit that occurred on January 10th and 11th. And essentially through that 10th and 11th, they speak with district employees and they further review the program. Our administrative team met with the PDE chair and auditors on the 10th, and we discussed and shared specifics about our gifted program. Regular education teachers and gifted teachers were interviewed. In addition, a sample of parents were also interviewed. The administrative team, when we had our interview on the 10th, Mrs. Holman and I participated in that with Dr. Sesnovic and the principals. And then that followed with an exit interview the following day, where the BSE advisor from PDE provided a very brief overview of her findings. And to some degree, that on-site review and exit interview was essentially the culmination of the audit. Overall, in that process, we were provided really positive feedback with minimal suggestions for improvement in the gifted program. PDE will come back and work with us collaboratively to ensure that we make any improvements that were suggested during that exit interview. So overall, really, really good feedback. I would like to personally thank Mrs. Holman and Dr. Sesnovic and the principals for presenting in that administrative interview. I think, all of their feedback was really essential to the results of the audit. I would also like to thank the regular education teachers that were involved and provided feedback to PDE. And lastly, the gifted education teachers, I just want to publicly thank them. I genuinely enjoyed working with them. Their active participation, motivation, and desire to really help our gifted population. It was enlightening and it was really appreciated from my end. So that's it.
Thank you.
Mr. Zimmerman, you're next.
Thank you. Not much to report. We are more than halfway through the winter season. Knock on wood, we have had no postponements or cancellations due to weather, so I'm very appreciative of that. I want to thank Gary for the kind words. I'm very proud that this board supported utilizing the campus here for that memorial service. It wasn't shocking to me, but again, thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to Mrs. Holman for kind of giving me a little leeway to kind of do what I had to do in a short period of time and keep her informed along the way. So other than that, everything is going well in the realm of athletics and activities. Thank you.
Mrs. Burlett.
Good evening. I just want to take a moment and say to the board, thank you for your service. We certainly appreciate your dedication and support of the district. A couple of upcoming events at Weisenberg. Our first grade students will be sharing their musical talents on January 25th at 2 p.m. The Singing in the Snow performance will be for families. And at 9:30 in the morning will be a dress rehearsal if you're not able to make the 2 p.m. show and you'd like to join us. Our fifth grade chorus from both Weisenberg and Northwestern Elementary will be performing at the Phantoms game on February 3rd. So we are looking forward to bringing the students together and enjoying an evening at the Phantoms. On February 8th at 2, our kindergarten students will be honoring their grandparents. They're excited and they are hard at work preparing for this program. We are also gearing up for the second half of the year and getting our students assess, to analyze their progress, and then certainly plan instruction based on their needs. So busy time. Thank you.
Mrs. Stitzel?
I have nothing further tonight. Thank you.
Mrs. Pulley?
Hi, good evening. We're getting back into the swing of things after the holidays. Our first grade students had their singing in the snow performance today. They did an amazing job. They were really, really cute and they sounded very good as well. So we were very happy to have that performance today. Just wanted to let you know that some upcoming things Mrs. Burlett shared about the Phantoms game at our kindergarten Grandparents' Day is going to be on February 15th. So we're excited for that. And just thank you for your service and support of the programs across the district, and have a good evening.
Mr. Gibler?
Good evening, members of the board, administrative staff, and those joining in the boardroom. Today ends the winter Keystone window for high school students who are finished up their either algebra, English 10 or their literature exam, and then also students taking biology. I just want to offer some real kudos to the students. You know, they came in prepared. You could see it on their faces and their body language, and they took those exams. And when they walked out, you could also see the confidence in their eyes and in the body language as they walked out. So kudos to the students for taking those exams seriously and doing their best. And then also kudos to all the staff that prepared them to take those exams. That includes all of our high school staff. You know, each of the students that took a test had an individual course that was associated with that test. But then you go into all the other classes that are supporting the material in those classes that they are actually being tested on. So it was a real staff effort across the board. So great job by everyone involved, and I can't wait to see those scores. Thank you to the board members for their service and support, to the students and staff across the district. It's always appreciated, and continue to look forward working with the board as we move towards the second semester here at the high school. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Yadish?
Just following up on what Mr. Gibler said, it's been a really busy time at the high school with the successful Keystone winter session. Happy that that's over as we transition from our first semester into our second semester. So students at the high school will be taking final exams tomorrow and Friday morning. Teachers will shut it all down and turn it all back on for second semester on Monday, and kids will go into their second half of this year. So it's exciting, it's really busy, and I think the kids will be ready to settle down for next week. So thank you for all of your service to our students and our faculty and staff. And we hope you enjoy your calendars as you reminisce of what we've done over the last year. So thank you.
Good evening. Just like to update the board on a couple of things that happened right before the holidays, actually. Our 8th grade finished up their community service project, and this year they donated items to the Kindness Project, which is in Emmaus. They provide materials, equipment, clothing to foster families and adoptive families. They donated 140 items to the Kindness Project. So that was a nice turnout for that. We also had our winter concert, which went really well. It's nice to see our band and chorus members getting back up to where they were pre-COVID. Chorus is definitely there, and only a few shy with the band as well, which is nice. Finally, I want to thank the Rotary Club, who has, over the course of the last couple of months, not only done snack packs again with us, which we have probably a higher need than we did in the past, but they also put together care and hygiene packs for us. For some students as they come up that need those items that we're able to provide them and their families. So thank you to them for doing that. Thanks.
Thank you to the board for your service and your dedication to all of our students and the programs that you provide to them and to our staff.
Same, thank you for your time.
Thank you to the board for all your service, and to all the firefighters in the community. It was more than an honor to help them in any way we could. So thank you to everything they do.
Thank you to this board and past boards for your dedication to the safety and security of your district and the steps you're taking to ensure that. And likewise, for the availability made of the district for the fallen firefighters. It certainly sets you and this district apart from many others. Thank you.
That brings it to me again. I want to thank you, each and one of you, for all that you do to support us every day. It's a tough job. It really is, and we know that, and we appreciate all that you do for us. I also want to just jump on what Mrs. Edmonds said, and I want to thank her for her leadership, taking us through a very successful gifted audit and all those involved. Dealing with the state, getting all the materials ready. It was a great undertaking. It took a lot of weeks, months of preparation, and the outcome was not something that we wouldn't expect as a good audit findings, but much appreciated in terms of all of her efforts.
I don't have anything further. I think I said everything during my superintendent report, but thank you all again for your service, and hopefully we have a good welcome into the second semester.
I'll start to my left. I mean, attorney.
Nothing for me. Thanks everybody for your service.
I'd just like to thank the volunteer firefighters, and I'm sure it took a lot of courage still to come here and just give us a thank you and show their support for us as we showed for them. So thank you.
Just want to say thank you for all the treasures at our seat today, and the new music teacher hire looks great. Seems really excited to be here. So he is very cool. Oh, that's me. Sorry. Thank you for the gifts. It's been very eye-opening and a pleasure to work with all of you. And so I thank you for that.
I just wanted to thank the middle school staff and students who made I think it was called the Chain of Hope. When I attended the services, it was obviously a sad and a very emotional day. And while waiting, reading some of the messages, it provided a little bit of light to a very sad and dark day. So whosever idea that was, and for all of those students who took the time to write those things, it showed a lot of maturity, and some of them were really insightful. So thank you so much for those, and I'm sure the other firefighters that were waiting and the other personnel that were there. I'm sure that they really, appreciated those words too.
Yes. I just want to say it's a pleasure to serve. So it's a fun month, but pleasure to serve on the board. And also, while it's not necessarily board business, it really was really nice to see the district come together the way they did for such a tragic occasion. And again, surfaced another reason why we're proud to live here. So, you can never plan for things like that, but certainly appreciated the way the community responded, and the school had a really big part in making that happen the way it did. So pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I think I would want to add to all of the kudos for remembering that day. And, December 7th was our school board meeting. We didn't know when we started the meeting that this had occurred. We found out after the meeting through a text that Jen got what happened. And, that December 7th now is our community's day of remembrances, was for, as it always has been for Pearl Harbor. But I'm just grateful how Jennifer and Troy reached out to the fire company immediately to offer the facility here at the school and everything they could do to help them. And then the staff, and especially in the middle school, who considered the welfare of the kids who were involved and the impact it had on them. And it just goes to show how this school is the center of the community. And in everything that happens, good and bad. And just kudos and thank you for all the graciousness that everybody on the staff showed during that difficult time. And it really makes me proud, happy to be a part of this great school that we have. And the people that are in it.
Yeah, and if I could just deflect that praise, although I was certainly very involved, Jason, Art, and Chief Tobin were the people that were daily involved with the planning and the reach out. Jason called and said, like, I think this is a good idea. I think it would be a nice gesture. And so although you can pass the praise to us, and certainly we take good and bad for whatever it is that happens, that was really Jason, Art, and Chief Tobin, who worked very closely with the fire department. And you mentioned the students, which I didn't mention earlier, but I would fail to mention, Mrs. Jadish and Mr. DeVico, that evening already had identified some of our junior firefighters that were going to need support the following day. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
And also, Mrs. Evans, if you're still with us, congratulations and thank you for taking us through this audit. Every time this happens, every time we have an audit, I always think that, the state could really save a lot of their resources if they would just stop auditing Northwestern New Hampshire. Every time they come, we get these audits that, are just so over the top, and it's just another example of how well this school is being run and the people that we have here. And thank you for that, Mrs. Evans. Okay, I'm done.
I don't like going last, so start next time. This is what I do.
We won't.
No, I just really, oh, yeah.
I'm gonna give it to John.
Okay, perfect. No, just echoing what they've said, again, grateful to be part of such a, really great community that rises up when really not even asked to do so. So I think that's really all I would add, and just echo what the rest of the team has said here.
If John's on the line, I'll pass it up to him.
Yeah, I have nothing more to add tonight. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Thanks, John. Yes, I share everybody's sentiment on their comments tonight. This is a great community. I love living here. It is awesome. So thank you to everyone. Really appreciate it. So we'll move on to the last item. We have 10.05, the meeting announcements. So I'll just announce that we had a workshop meeting that was held January 4th. And we had an executive session for personnel that was following that meeting on the 4th as well. We have a workshop meeting coming up February 1st, 7 p.m. in this boardroom, followed by executive session for personnel as well, same day. And then we have a board meeting February 15th, 7 o'clock in the boardroom. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Passinger, second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Isaac. Thank you.